Dr. Clendenning. Here we are again on Total Disruption. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey man, how's the Michael Libercci doing today?
I'm killing it, man. Feels good to be here. You and I just filmed an earlier episode a bit ago, and I am absolutely charged up about this TD philosophy that we are deploying and teaching people now. And again, it's the summation of our half century on the planet and the lessons you and I have acquired, learned, deployed. We are finally able to filter some of these things so that we can help other people and empower them with either brand new knowledge that they haven't heard yet, or, hey, that's the last tumbler in the combination of things I've been trying to figure out. And it's none of anybody's anything is anything new. We are just accumulating information, filtering it for people in our world, and helping others with this information. And we encourage feedback, and we'd love to hear your stories, but we can't hear your stories unless you hit us up on the DMs, unless you see a post on the Total Disruption One on Instagram, or you follow me or Jake and you start talking, right? On any post that we fire up, we'd love to hear your anchor. So I got something I want to talk to you about today that is right in line with what we're talking about. Plus, it allows me to use big words, which makes me sound a little more educated than I am. So it is standards over outcomes. And then there's a couple of subpoints. So I'd like to talk about preparation intensity, fancy words, learning velocity, another bullshit term, but I love using it, execution consistency, and then decision quality. I mean, again, this is the core of what we talk about. And I like learning velocity. I mean, I just think when, like, you see some of these like direct response marketers back in the day, like a Dan Kennedy and his disciples, like when you start talking shit on this and you get an Instagram ad, have you checked your learning velocity? Maybe that's what's holding you back. Sign up for my free course and webinar here at the bottom, and you can enhance your learning velocity. It's like, shit, man, that's great. But you can
It's
get
a
it all for free right here on Total Disruption. So here we are, Jake.
it's a great word, man. I love that. And as you're listing those off, it almost to me felt like they were in reverse order. As
Probably.
as I was looking at that, he didn't read them in any particular order. This is
Yeah.
the direction that we go, and it literally felt like they were in reverse order. So
Mhm.
it this goes right back into what we were talking about last time, right? The standards versus outcomes, and it's understanding your outcome. Mike uses visualization heavily in what his outcomes are. And again, we're at the tail end of the Olympics now for the Winter Olympics, and if you've been paying attention to this at all, there's been a huge push on the US team. Like, I don't know about the other teams because obviously we have a very singular skewed vision of what they're putting out. Like, the all the broadcasting we get is from the US. Guess what? We have a US team. So they're doing all their work on the US. So I don't know because I'm not watching Italian TV, I'm not watching Netherlands or Norway TV, and I'm sure they're doing a ton of work on this. But the US team has done has visualization coaches that they have that brought into the team, and you'll see it. You'll see. I'll use Breezy Johnson is a great example of one of the ones that we see. Michaela Schifrin's another one. You will see them before their run, standing at the top of the hill, doing the entire run in their head. You'll actually see them. They're in their crunch and they've got their eyes closed and they're leaning to the right and they're leaning hard and they're leaning to the left and leaning hard. They're doing every single turn while standing still. They're visualizing the entire run all the way through. How they're getting from the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill. That's what they can. And we're going to go back and I'm going to this is where standards and outcomes come in, and we're going to come off of what we can control and what we can't control. So what they can control, how they're preparing, what the outcome is going to be, don't know. You could catch an edge, you could do something weird, you could miss a turn, you could hit a gate. Lindsey Vaughn hit a gate, broke her arm, went flailing down the hill, ended her Olympic run very, very early. Yes, she could control it by not hitting the gate, but at 80 miles an hour, your control window goes way, way down, right? Your reaction time goes way, way down. But she went through all the visualizations, not necessarily visualizing standing on the Olympic podium. Okay. They visualized top of the hill, everything through the hill, bottom of the hill, making the run, completing the run at their best possible ability that they have prepared for. That's the outcome that they're visualizing. And that's the standard that they have set for themselves. Here's what I'm gonna hold myself accountable to. Because here's the deal. We'll go back to the what you can't control. You've got 50 other skiers in the field that are badasses in and amongst themselves. They're all super awesome, and you can't control how they make the run. There's an Italian woman. I do not, cannot, won't even attempt to pronounce her name. It starts with a G. I think it's Giovanna, but she had an epic crash a year ago that her leg went directions it shouldn't have gone and isn't capable of going multiple breaks. The scar on her knee is amazing. The doctors did an epic job. She has won 3 gold medals in this Olympics. She was not even related as a dark horse. She wasn't even supposed to be a medal favorite. She was just showing up for her country the best way possible. And that was the interesting thing that happened is she didn't visualize a gold medal podium. She visualized coming back and performing at her peak ability. And she did.
Really?
And she did. And she smoked the field, like not by hundredths of seconds. She actually had a second above everybody else, which is absolutely amazing. But she was never, but so that's where we talk about the standards and outcomes, right? Her standard was, this is the race I want to run. She didn't visualize a gold medal. She didn't visualize the win, what her visualization process. So this is where I want to talk to Mike a little bit about this, because Mike's heavy on visualization of where this goes. So when you're, and I want to get back to standards in another spot because there's a goal setting thing I want to talk about, but let's talk about the visualization of the outcomes. When you're resetting things, when you're creating your outcomes, how are you doing that in business and in your daily life so that you know I can achieve that outcome?
Well, basically, I reverse engineer the emotional state that I want to feel with the outcome. I immediately assign one of two things: the pleasure or the lack of pain. And I don't care which one is better or worse because equally they both are rewarding to me. Um, what I mean by
Trouble
that is,
solved.
what I mean by that is, if I'm a little leery, I'll give it a real world example. My son's high school, I'm trying to get them in this one program to talk about automatically fundraising using businesses. And I keep reaching out to this guy and I keep saying in my head, man, I don't want to piss these guys off, be too pushy, whatever. But the guy, for some reason, is not even acknowledging me. And I'm like, he knows I'm a parent at school. I don't know whether it's just a miscommunication or he's just busy or what. So I'm about ready to go not above his head, but to do a workaround because the outcome of me helping out my kid's school outweighs, and me feeling good about it outweighs I'm not trying to piss this guy off, right? Or the pleasure of success, or hey, I don't have a burden anymore of this because I solved this problem.
Okay,
So
so I want to stop you and dive into this real quick, like before we go too much further down this road, because there's something specifically you're saying here that it's triggering me as a coach, so that you're going to get some unsolicited coaching, and you guys are going to hear about it today. Um, when we're talking about outcomes, this is a spot, and you guys have heard me say this. If you've listened to season 1, season 2, we talk a whole lot about what the human brain's job is. It has one job: to do exactly what you tell it to do. I talked about the hypothalamus. It's a little squishy thing in the back of your head. It has one job: to do exactly what you're telling it to do. So here's where I want to coach Mike a little bit on this. And here's my opinion, and here's what I can control, and here's what my standards are. That's why I bring this one up. You told me what you don't want. I'm going to speculate that when we change and reframe this to what you do want, that you're going to be able to reach this guy. Here's what I'm saying. What Mike just said, I'm pointing this out for everybody. And if you're one of my coaching clients, you know I was going to bark up this tree. This is my spot. So Mike said, I don't want to piss this guy off. His brain has one job: to do exactly what you tell it to do, and it cannot hear negative. So the brain is automatically setting up some sort of avoidance of pain. So we're not doing the thing. So here's what I want to ask you. What's the opposite? What is the result you do want? We know the result you don't want. You don't want to piss the guy off. What's the result you do
Well,
want?
let me expand on why I don't want to piss the guy off, because they don't have to accept my kid at the school. So there's a little
Fair.
caveat there when I say I don't want to piss the guy off. I don't give a shit whether I piss this guy off or not. But I don't want him to get pissed off and then use that to mess with where my kid is. So
Totally get it. So that's all in a dangerous spot. And
that's
this
two
is why I'm
totally
having fun
different.
with this
Yeah.
one.
However, I do want this funding tool to impact the school in such a way that they're like, wow, I am so glad this guy brought this idea to me. And, because me, myself, like, I'm not in a position, these guys, the school sometimes gets like $2 million a year in donations. I'm not giving $2 million a year to this school. However, I do want to give a tool and open the gateway so that I'm helping donors and the school achieve a common goal, right? Representing this massive mission this school is on.
So there it
So
is.
it's
So there it is. And I hope the audience heard it. Mike's 100% right. What he wants versus what he doesn't want. You think about the passion versus the, I almost want to say, submissiveness of where the, I don't want to piss this guy off. We are going to show up differently, right? We're going to show up differently. And this is, I'm going to go back to the Olympics. I'm going to use this example. If I get to the top of this Super G run and I'm getting ready to run this, and I used to play pretend that I was going to be a Super G star someday when I was a kid,
right.
and I
Right.
just skied really really fast, and it was ugly, and there was no skills whatsoever, but it was a lot of fun. If I get to the top and I say I don't want to, I hope I don't crash. I'm going to ski in such a way that hopefully I don't crash, but likely I'm going to crash. Versus if I say I'm going to get to the bottom of the hill. It might be ugly, but I'm getting to the bottom of the hill without crashing. I am going to get to the bottom of the hill. My visualization is different. So Mike's just bringing up a great concept here of where he was talking about I don't want to piss him off versus the what I want is I want to give the school this amazing funding tool. And I want to support the vision they're in. Those are two different approaches. So
Yeah.
here's what I want Mike to do today in that space. Reach out to that guy from that perspective. Set the visualization ahead of time. Set the outcome of here's what my mission is in this conversation, because that's all the mission is. I'm just presenting this tool for you. What he can't control is whatever this other guy's going to do. We can't control whether we're going to piss him off or not. We can't.
Well,
That's not our responsibility.
I've got enough attempts as a parent reaching out that I feel pretty confident in that. When I say I don't want to piss them off, remember, I'm not afraid of anybody. I don't give a
Oh
shit
no,
with this.
and that's not what it is. It's not that at all. This is just simply for the audience. This is an example. I know how you show up. Let's be really, really honest. And that's why we've been doing what we've been doing for as long as we've been doing it together. I know how Mike shows up. And that's why I get to use him as the example. Like
Well, I
I
don't
know
mind.
I
I
know.
take all
That's
the
why I get to use
personality.
it. So that's why we get to use it. But for the audience, think about how you want to show up. What you think about what your result needs to be. If you think about well, I don't want to ruffle any feathers, that we hear that statement all the time, that's how you're going to show up versus I'm going to make an impact. But those are two different people. Those are different people getting to the bottom of the hill. So we think about, so back to standards. And we talk about goal setting and these standards a little bit of what they're going to be. There are goals, there are dreams. They are different things. Goals are standards. They have timestamps to them. You can use SMART goals, right? And that everybody's heard about that one. It's got to be specific. It's got to be measurable. It's got to be achievable, responsible, and have a timestamp. That's it, right? That's what SMART goals are. You want to hear about how to set SMART goals? Reach out to us, have a conversation with us. You can find it on our website. We'll give it to you out of the guild. We've got spreadsheets out the wazoo that you can have. Everybody's got them. Look up SMART goals on whatever AI tool you're using on how to do it. It works out great, and it works. Okay, so when you're setting those SMART goals, let's use the Olympics as the example. You can't set gold medal as the goal. You can't set it as the standard. And here's why I say it. You can set it as a dream. You can set it as I can prepare for it. I'm going to work as hard as I can. And these athletes are working at a discipline level, unbelievable discipline levels that these guys are throwing down, and they're doing it for the love of the game. And that's why I love the Olympics so much. Is it's not a, hey, I'm trying to get a big fat contract or something. And I'm not bagging on any of the professional athletes. Those guys are epic. I can't do what they do. But the Olympians are at a different level. They're different people altogether. So I love that. But they create their universe in a way that they can really create the where a gold medal can happen. That's all you can do. You can create the space that it can happen. You can prepare every possible scenario that you can run so that a gold medal could happen for you. And that's where we get into that Venn diagram piece, but that's where you got to set the standards. What's my standard for the Olympics? What's my standard for the business that I'm in? You guys hear us talk about sports a lot because the reality is, as a business owner, you're a professional. You're a professional athlete. You have to prepare the same way. You have to work just as hard. You have to have these standards that you're going to set versus a gold medal. A gold medal is
You're almost more of a mathlete than an athlete, but yes, you are a professional athlete.
I'll take that one. I'll take mathlete.
Or you have to use your brain. You have to split in business. You have to split between the outward athletic, your marketing, your energy, your motivation to your staff or your own self as a staff, your motivation to your customers, your hustle, your sales. That's the athlete. The mathlete is me being a dumbass, not billing, proper taxes, filing, correct accounting, budgets, acquisitions, that kind of shit, right? So that's what we're talking about. Like when we say mathlete, athlete, it is a perfect example on both sides of the fence. That's why entrepreneurship and solopreneurship and being an executive is just not for everybody, because if you're not teaching your brain to respect both halves and you're a reactor versus an operator, that's definitely a thing. Right. Let's talk quickly about learning velocity, though, Jake. I really want to, because it's a nice big word.
Because you like the word, that's why you want to talk about it,
Well,
which I'm totally cool with.
And execution consistency.
Yeah.
I find, like, social media, I'm not very execution consistent. That's why I'm glad we have somebody that handles that. I find it gets a little, and I can reframe to the cows come home. When I start looking at my schedule, no, this is a block. But when I start looking at my schedule, I have to put the description and the hashtags and all this shit behind it. Meanwhile, without marketing, you're the best kept secret. Without an organic viral approach, you become the best kept secret. And it definitely should be a priority in the world. And it is, honestly, now. There's more coming out. There's obviously more TD marketing coming out. These shows are now posted on social media again. We've unlocked that. And but when I talk about this learning velocity and consistency and execution, to me, how fast you learn is learn, do, learn, do, learn, do, learn, do, learn, do, learn, do. Notice I didn't say learn, succeed, learn, fail, just learn, do. That's it. Remove, learn, do, learn, do. You're going to come through highs and lows. No Olympians started out as a professional person. They got up there, skied down a hill, got up there, skied down a hill, got up there, skied down a hill. Shit, I really like going fast. Then I'm off down a path now. Let me ski down this hill and try to go through these, flags. And then let me do this. Let me do that. Let me jump around while I'm in the air here. Let me spin, twist, flip. And then let's compete. Let's just see what we can do in this parameter, because for some reason I really like this. And like you said, when Olympians are, I don't know that there's many like professional GS racers out there, right? Like, I don't know of any, but is there any money in that sport? Probably not. There's a lot of passion in that sport versus, let's say, basketball or football or one of the more classic sports you can actually make a real living at for your time and abuse of your body. And if you're one of these athletes and you're out there and you're trying to chase the glory and all that stuff, That's the learning velocity. If you really want that dream and you're really willing to put the time in, how fast you learn is how much you do. You cannot do anything or you cannot learn anything without actually doing it. That's the whole point where school, some may say that's the traditional education. The learning part is class and homework, or the homework's the doing part. The bigger doing part is the exams. Me, I feel like we should have somebody way smarter than you and I should come up with a little bit better system of practical application to all this shit these kids are learning before we have all these tests. I know there's a million people on both sides of this fence, but coming from somebody that only learns from doing, I can't think of a better thing. Tests help get you going. Once you get going to become truly proficient at something, you need to keep doing it. And if we have a bunch of years of just learning and these micro examples without actually doing anything, we don't learn anything, right? What do you think for learning velocity and then execution consistency?
So this is a little bit of scientific method relative to this learning velocity, and your specific learning velocity is related to how willing you are to take and apply feedback. When I say feedback, feedback comes in a billion different ways, right? Either let's use tests. Feedback is I didn't score 100. I scored 70 because I scored a lot of 70s when I was in high school. I can tell you right now. So, what did I take that from feedback? What should I have taken in feedback? All right, 30% of the information I don't know. I need to work on that. I need to adjust. And I'm not going to just all of a sudden get better at 30. You can go to a great book called 1% Better. It was a great book. You guys have heard me mention it before. If I got 1% better every day, how many days would it take me to get to 100% on that test? 30. So now I've got a standard of how to get there. So your learning velocity has to do with your ability to take feedback. And it also has to do with what your dream is and what your goal is and what your standards are. So I wanted to talk about this one a little bit more because they play together. They're meaningful in where they're going to go. Okay. One thing we never ever change, ever, ever, ever. Once we have set a goal, the goal is the goal is the goal is the goal. The dream can change. The dream can change colors. It can be a little bit different, but the goal must stay the same. Okay. We never change the goal because if you change the goal, now you change the standards. Now you change the accountability. Now you change your learning velocity in which you're going to get there. If the goal is a North Star, it is a fixed point in space, it is a light tower on the rocks, it does not move. And there's that way you can steer away from it or towards it accordingly. And now you can look at your learning velocity of what do I need to learn to get there? Okay, well I'm clearly off course. So now I'm going down the ship analogy thing. That's okay. Let's use lighthouse with lighthouse on the rocks. That thing doesn't move. A lot of those lighthouses have been there since medieval times. There's some lighthouses that used to be some guy with a candle and a big mirror trying to keep ships from crashing. So I mean they're obviously more modern, but that is a set in stone, literally, goal. Doesn't move. So if a ship is marching straight at that goal, wholeheartedly, my plan is to hit the lighthouse. Okay, well, you know how to adjust. But if your plan is to come into the safe harbor just to the right of it, you have to course correct. That's your learning velocity. What do I need? What do I know? Which way are the wind blowing? Where are the tides going? What's the flow? How much fuel do I have? All of these things I can control to be able to get where I need to go. My learning velocity is my ability to take the feedback, which is all of the things that are coming at me all the time, and apply it. Just like Mike is saying, it's about, Mike is a learn by doing. Most of us are learn by doing. I mean, there's a component in every single one of us that is a learn by doing. Some of us have a different modality that's our primary, right? Some of us are visual learners, some of us are auditory learners, some of us are kinesthetic learner. Mike is a very kinesthetic learner. He is a learn by doing. I'm split between visual and kinesthetic. I'm almost 50-50. If I see it, I can do it. If to some extent, but then I have to practice it. Now I have to look at what's my goal, what's my standard of what I'm going to do. And in our last couple seconds here, it's something I always want to bring into this, and this is another pillar we're going to talk about on another show. Who am I talking to? Who am I looking up to? Who's my mentor? And who is holding me accountable to the things I say I'm going to do? If I say, this is my goal, man. So, like, Mike is one of them. Mike is one of those people that I talk to about my goals and my standards, and of course, our goals and our standards for TD. And I give Mike permission to hold me accountable. And you do the same thing. So that's going to be something we're going to talk about. That's another one of our pillars. Is it's the who. Because the reality is, in this universe, and Mike and I are great examples of this, nobody succeeds alone. We wouldn't have nearly the amazing audience that we do have on all of our channels if it was just Mike, and we wouldn't have that if it was just me. So we succeed together. So find your who. We're going to talk about that on another episode, guys.
Amen to that, dude. We are out of time. So, Jake, it was awesome having this discussion with you here today on Total Disruption. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. For Dr. Clendenning, I'm Michael Libercci. We'll see you next time on Total Disruption.